All right. Well, good morning, everyone. It's another wonderful Monday morning. Today is February 14th. Happy Valentine's Day to all you lovers out there. Really appreciate you guys being here live with me on our romantic Monday morning conference call. I hope you guys have big plans for this evening and I hope you enjoy your week. So, with that, outside of you know, Valentine's Day, why are we here? We are here to improve the lives of our community with affordable healthcare. So thank you for being a part of that mission, and thank you for being on this call live. Just as a reminder, we do have the calls being recorded, and those are going to live on our YouTube channel for now. And so if you miss a call, or if you're with a client and you can't make it, don't panic. We are recording this. Today we have a very special guest from Humana. Mr. Rafelis Romero will be joining us in a little while, and he's going to share all the great news, updates, tips, and tricks from Humana and CarePlus. So we'll talk more on that as well. But let's go ahead and jump into the training calendar. As you know, we always want to keep one foot in the classroom and the other one in the field at all times. And so, as of this morning, Freedom is hosting a looks like a coffee and chat session this morning at 9 o'clock, and they're going to be there until about 10:30, and that's at the Panera Bread in Winter Garden. So, if you are in the West Orlando market and you want to pop in to get some Freedom kits for the C-SNP, D-SNP, or just have a chat with Mitesh and his crew there, they'll be there until 10:30 this morning. Moving on later today, we've got quite a bit of trainings and webinars happening across the week. And today we are launching our 2022 ACA training, and that is the first one's going to be at today at 1 o'clock. So you can jump over there and join the webinar training. We're doing quite a few ACA trainings this week. The first one is today at 1, then tomorrow at 7 p.m. In case you guys get busy during the week, we know how that is. Then we're doing another session on, let me move my screen here, on Thursday at 9 a.m. And then one more Friday at 4:30. And we also are doing a Saturday session as well at 2 p.m. So if you're interested in learning more about ACA, if you're not doing ACA or you need a refresher, those are the training classes for the week. It's about 45 minutes. It won't take too long. It's basically an overview of what's happening here for 2022. Also, Clever RX, I know many of you have requested the discount prescription drug card. If you have not yet, we're still doing webinars. That's today at 3. We're doing another one on Wednesday at 7 p.m., Thursday at 12 p.m., Friday at 9 a.m., and then another Saturday session at 1 o'clock. So if you're interested in learning about the prescription drug discount card, there it is. And then our Medicare Advantage all-in-one quote and enroll tool, we lovingly call HPM Shop. We are doing sessions on that. We are doing an overview session today at 7 p.m., an overview session on Thursday at 1 p.m., and another one on Saturday at 10:30. If you're looking for a deep dive into that training with the Medicare Advantage quote and enroll system, we are doing one on Tuesday at 10 a.m. and another one on Saturday at 11:30. Okay, so again, I know it's a lot to remember. You don't have to remember all of these trainings. Just get into the training calendar here. I'm just highlighting a few things to make sure everybody knows what's going on. For tomorrow at 11 a.m., Devoted is doing an open training session, and that's for about an hour. That's Tuesday, the 15th at 11 a.m. So if you're interested in joining that, you can. If you're interested in working with doctors, Optum is doing an agent training academy. This is very important because if you are looking to be assigned to an Optum or WellMed clinic, it is a mandatory training before you can get assigned to an office. So they are doing sessions now. The first one is Wednesday, the 16th at 4 p.m. So jump in there if you are interested in learning more about Optum and how to become an agent with them. Moving over to Thursday, we've got Devoted coffee and chat sessions. Again, this one is just to pop in, ask questions, and that's on Thursday the 17th at 11:30. And Friday, moving over to Friday, Humana. Humana is doing a Care Highlights program, And I'm sure Rafelis is going to talk a little bit about all the great programs that Humana has rolling out. But that's on Friday at 11. It's a webinar. You can jump on there. And then another devoted training at 1 o'clock for tabletops. How about that? Need to learn how to do a tabletop? We love those training classes. So that's Friday at 1. How do you properly and successfully host a a tabletop? There's a training on that on Friday at 1 o'clock. So those are the highlights. Those are the trainings for the week. Please remember, always keep one foot in the classroom and the other one in the field at all times. You have to be a pro so your clients can rely on you, okay? So really appreciate your guys' attention to the trainings. And as we continue along, just remember that the training calendar can be hooked up to your laptop, iPhone, iPad, or whatever else you got going on to keep track of your life there. And you could pop in that calendar as well. Okay, so let's do this. I'm muting everybody here. Hold on. Okay. Mute everybody. Sorry, guys. Somebody came on unmuted here. Okay. WellCare has a new broker portal that they are rolling out here by the end of the month. So there will no longer be a double sign-in. There'll be a single sign-in for your broker portal. So please keep an eye out for that email. You will most likely get instructions on how to log into the new broker portal. And apparently it's going to be easier, faster, slicker, stronger, and easier to read. We'll see. So anything can be better, I'm sure. So make sure that you keep an eye out for those emails because you most likely will have to log back into your WellCare broker portal. And when you do those things, when they roll out, please don't wait until you absolutely have to get into your portal system because you're going to get frustrated. Take the 5 or 10 minutes, log in, save your passwords, save the link, and it's really going to help your life a lot easier there. Okay. Moving over to ACA business. With ACA right now, although open enrollment has closed as of 2022, there is some good news, a silver lining, if you will, for those folks that are offering ACA training. And the good news is they are going to open up a year-round ACA training, or I'm sorry, ACA for folks that are 150% of the FPL, federal poverty level or less. So if an individual is at 150 or less, then you will be able to enroll them year round, month in, month out. Now, it hasn't been officially launched onto Health Sherpa. However, I do have the guidelines here, and I'm going to share that with everybody. I'm going to pull up my screen. Give me 1 second here, and I will share my screen on this. Again, this is going to be covered in the webinar in detail, but I do want to share it with you guys because you could be bumping into people that you can go ahead and enroll, for the first of next month, and so on and so forth. So this is the FPL guidelines. I'm going to pop open the screen a little bit larger here. So so on the left-hand side, you'll see the household size, and this is what's on the tax return. So, if one person is just filing their single tax return, or if there's 2 people on the tax return, that's how they determine household size, not who's physically living in the house. Okay, that is different. And then it just ranges. So if a single person is earning at least $12,880, that person can earn up to $19,320 per year at the FPL of 150. So that's the cutoff there. But a family of 3 is $32,940 or less per year. There's quite a few people, at least in Florida, that I know that are at the 150 or less. And so this is a year-round opportunity. It's basically open season all over again. CMS is going to start releasing some more detailed information about that open enrollment for those 150 or less. The health plans have already acknowledged that they will be taking certain applications for those folks. But as you know, Oscar and Molina will not be commissionable after 4/1 effectives. Starting for 4/1 effectives for the rest of the year until further notice. They just grew too much. So All the other players like Cigna, Aetna, Ambetter, United Healthcare, all of those guys can take applications during this time. So it's really still a great opportunity to sell ACA business if you're not out there doing it. Really consider it, because there are people that are going to have that open enrollment period year round to get that done. So that is for ACA. I am going to move over to Medicare just for a quick minute here, because we do have an expert on the phone that's going to talk about Medicare. But I did want to talk about the open enrollment opportunities that we're having right now, because some people are getting a little confused on the OEP, and I want to cover that a little bit today. So Humana did put out a really nice detailed PDF that they sent to everybody. And this was, I would say, probably about, I think it was last week on Friday. So I'm going to share that document with you guys, and Rafelis can talk more about the details in this. But this is just general open enrollment period questions that are happening here. And so let's talk about the marketing guidelines. The first thing is you cannot specifically target people, saying, hey, it's open enrollment and you can make one more change between January 1st and March 31st. We're not allowed to target or send unsolicited marketing materials promoting OEP. Okay. Now, CarePlus does have a 5-star plan. You can promote that all day long. But let's talk about the basics here. Okay. So the OEP applies to Medicare Advantage enrollees in 2 different scenarios. First, it's a continuous OEP from January 1st to March 31st, which is, we're about the halfway point here. Or if a person is newly entitled, so it begins the month of the entitlement, which is their effective date to Part A and B, and lasts for 2 months in addition. Okay. And what that basically means is let's say somebody does enroll for their, let's say, February 1st effective date with Medicare, they still have a rolling OEP. And in that particular instance, it would be March and April. So they would actually have 2 months, February and March for an April 1st effective date. So they would have 2 months or 60 days to make one change. Okay, so if they started the plan and it was a boo-boo, they can make one more change, after their month of entitlement. Okay, so they have a 2-month period there. So let me read the guidelines from CMS. CMS has specific marketing guidelines that must be followed during the continuous OEP from January 1st to March 31st. Agents are prohibited from targeting or sending unsolicited marketing materials to any MA enrollee or Part D enrollee during the continuous OEP. During the OEP period, the receipt date determines whether the one-time election is considered used. For example, an enrollment transaction is submitted for Part A, an MAPD using the MA OEP for February 1st effective, and an application signed of January 14th. The transaction is accepted but not yet effective. Beneficiary changes their mind and submits an application to enroll in Plan B, an MAPD plan. The second plan submits the enrollment using MA OEP for February 1st effective date and an application date of January 20th. The second plan enrollment transaction, it will process because the enrollment for the second plan was submitted last. So last in wins for somebody that's rolling for OEP. So let's say you meet somebody today, they say, yes, I want to enroll, you enroll them. Then they meet somebody tomorrow and they enroll with somebody else. The last one wins in that situation as long as it's the same effective date. Okay. Here's a couple other rules or reminders rather, during the OEP. Agents may not send unsolicited marketing materials advertising the ability or opportunity to make an additional enrollment change or reference the OEP. Specifically, target beneficiaries who are in the OEP because they made a choice during AEP by purchasing a purchase of a mailing list or other means of identification. So you cannot purchase that because you know that they're in OEP. Agents may not engage in or promote agent activities that intend to target the OEP as an opportunity to make further sales, and the agent cannot call or otherwise contact former enrollees who have selected a new plan during the AEP. So if you lost members, you can't call them and say, hey, you can switch for OEP. You can't do that. but you do have 5-star opportunities. So don't forget about that. Now, during the OEP, let's talk about what you can do. So we'll focus on that. These are marketing activities that focus on other enrollment opportunities, including but not limited to, you can market to age-ins, people that are turning 65, who have not yet made an enrollment decision. You can market by five-star plans regarding their continuous enrollment SEP. You can definitely market to dual eligibles and LIS, who in general may make one change per calendar year during the first 9 months. You can send marketing materials when a beneficiary makes a proactive request, and at the beneficiary's request, have one-on-one meetings with a sales agent. Yes, you can do that. And yes, if they request you, you can provide information on the OEP through a call center. So that's interesting as well. But this is, again, a great guide from Humana. They've always been great with their materials. And so those are the rules for OEP. Luckily, we haven't had any marketing violations. And thank you guys for really making sure that, that's been taken care of. And thank you, Tom, for putting that in the gold key, because he already popped that in there. So I hope you guys are using that. But without further ado, I would very much like to introduce our newest representative for both Humana and CarePlus, Rafelis Romero, who is on the call today. And as he is unmuting himself, I'll tell you that I've had the pleasure of meeting him in person. He is a go-getter. He is very responsive. And, although we miss our Jesse, I think we found the perfect candidate to step up and help us with our Humana sales. So welcome, Rafelis.
Thank you, Justin, for that warm welcome. Yeah, Jesse's been around for quite some years, and now that he's gone, I have some big shoes to fill. And as I'm learning the whole process and engaging with all of you, it's coming along greatly. But just wanted to introduce myself. My name is Rafelis Romero. I come by the way of Orlando and now back in Orlando. And I'll kind of give you some background to my story. I started about 9 years ago as an agent here in Orange, Osceola, and Seminole County. Several years after that, my career took me over to Peoria, Illinois, as a market manager. And I was in the pursuit of management, and at one moment, 3 different opportunities struck, and they said, Rafelis, you're going to Peoria, Illinois. I could not point it out on a map, but I had Google Maps and started driving. So as I'm driving through Tennessee and heading into Illinois, I see corn on one side, soy on the other. I knew I was in for quite a surprise, truly, because a city boy now in the midst of farm fields. So lasted a few years there, helped them engage in starting a new HMO, brought in some network additions, and then headed slightly south, but not too south, into St. Louis, Missouri. So for the last 4-ish years, I was overseeing Illinois, Iowa, parts of Nebraska, South Dakota, St. Louis. So a lot of great learning. Then last year, I had the opportunity to come back to Florida. I just wanted to inch a little bit closer, and I was able to be the market manager of Daytona, Jacksonville, and Panhandle. And when this position came up to come back home and kind of round it out full circle, sometimes the journey is long, but we have to be patient. So 9 years later, I'm back home, which is where I want to be. But I knew that I had to stay patient, stay diligent, and it was all great learnings while we were getting all that done. So Justin, am I able to share my screen? It says only host and moderators.
Oh yeah, let me give you that opportunity. Hold on one second, and thank you for sharing as well. So you should be able to share your screen now. Try that.
Yes. All right. So while that's populating, I do represent both Humana and CarePlus. My career has been mostly focused on the Humana side, so I'll know a lot more about Humana than CarePlus, but that does not stop me from, one, learning as part of my role, but as you all come up with great questions, that's what helps me learn much faster. As I encounter different situations, I'll know exactly what's happening. And if someone can give me a thumbs up, that they can see my screen.
We're good to go.
All right. I'm trying to put it here in a little slideshow mode. Let me
Beautiful.
show my taskbar. So I'm calling this Humana Essentials, but I don't really know if this is all the essentials. So if you guys come up with a nicer name or something that's a little bit catchier, please let me know. I did want to share my contact. If you would take a moment and put this in your phone, shoot me a text message right now with your name. That way I have it programmed so next time you call, I know who it is. And if you can't get a hold of me via phone, text message always works. But I try to pride myself on being available. I know you all are out there doing the best you can, helping our members. And I want to make sure that I'm making that role for you all a little bit easier.
Yeah, and I also shared it in the chat as well for everybody if you just want to copy paste that.
Perfect. Thank you, Justin. All right. So today I want to kind of guide you on some Humana.com resources. I know you all have been selling for quite some time, but I want you to leave here with a little nugget. Sometimes you know it all, and then sometimes there's something that you're like, oh, I didn't realize that I might be able to use that for someone next time. Zoom In by Humana, and I'll explain what that is. Understanding DSNP, Flex Card, Healthy Foods Cards, virtual visits, Motive Care, and some diabetes testing supplies and whatnot. So dental benefits. I'm actually going to not stop sharing my screen, but I want to navigate Humana.com with you all. So if you go to Humana.com and you go to Humana.com/S as in supplemental, B as in benefit, which is what it stands for, you're going to be able to go directly into what is covered for a specific plan. Sometimes in the book it says we cover zero cost exam, vitamin X-ray, such and such, but there's not enough space to give you what all is covered. So you can go to Humana.com/SB, go to members and agents, and then just click on the 2022. And next to the summary of benefits, you'll realize that there's a little number next to it. And you're just going to click on whatever number corresponds to that plan, and you'll see what's covered. And you'll get a little bit more information specific to that benefit. I say if you're going to sell the 146 and it's DEN, whatever that number is, print it out. Put it in the summary of benefits because it's going to keep you and the member knowing of what's happening at all times. They're going to their dentist appointment and they get their estimate with the codes. They can now check the codes with the form you've given them, and they have no surprise cost there. And if there's some questions that pop up on the chat, just stop me, but I'm going to run through this pretty quickly. All right. And you can do that for any plan on Humana. Now, another tip and trick is if you're on Humana.com, I know when I was an agent, I used to get these phone calls. Hi, is my eyelid surgery covered? Or can I get Botox? Sometimes you just don't know because there's these random questions. You want to know, is it covered? How is it covered? So there's on Humana.com on the top, you're going to notice that there is a site that says for providers. I know we're not providers, but you can go on the site. Medical resources, and you're going to go to where it says coverage policies. And if you know exactly what you're looking for, you can type it here. If you just want to search or kind of play around with the system, you can just sort by alphabetical. The one that I generally look at is blepharoplasty because that's one that I know comes up a lot. And what is this document going to essentially do? This document that's going to pop up essentially is going to give you, if it opens, it's going to give you, when is it covered? You know, did you have visual loss inside of 25 degrees? Does it slope a certain amount? So you'll be able to speak with a little bit more accuracy with your members. Now, we're not giving medical advice, but if they are wondering what it takes to get a specific procedure covered, whether it's Botox because they suffer from chronic headaches, this tool here is going to give you a lot more insight as to what's covered. And the beauty of this is that this really pertains to any plan, whether it's Humana, CarePlus, WellCare. These are a lot of the Medicare guidelines. All right. Now, the next one I want to go to is the pharmacy calculator. I know most of us are using the pharmacy calculator. We're logging into Vantage and we're kind of plugging it in that way. But many times we're in the moment, we don't remember what our password is. There's another way you can get there. So you'll go to member resource and you'll go to drug pricing guide. And from there, and you might all use a different tool. And if you do have a different tool you use, that's perfect. But this is another way to get to that drug list.
Mm-hmm.
You would put in your zip code and you would populate the plan. Now, one of the biggest mistakes I see year in and year out when someone's using any drug tool is they'll ask a diabetic, how many units of insulin are you using? They'll say 100 a day. And they'll plug in 100. And the system thinks that you're using 100 vials. Just think about it. Insulin comes in vials or in pens. So they're going to think that you have 100, that you're using 100 vials a day, and it'll say some crazy number as, oh, you'll pay your annual cost of $300,000, which will spook you a little bit, as it should, because that's quite a scary cost. So you want to make sure is how many, if it's a pill, you can ask daily. If it's insulin, how many vials or pens or boxes are you using in a month? And now let me go back to the pens. Pens come in boxes, and there's 5 pens to a box. So that is important to know that if someone is only taking 3 pens in a month or using 3 pens in a month, but they bought 1 box because they can't split them up, that's technically a 2-month supply. So 2 months of copays would then be applied. All right. Now I want to talk to you a little bit about this program. It's called Zoom In, and it's connecting our communities with the resources they need. Now, most of us have probably heard Aunt Bertha or have used it before, which has now rebranded to Find. If you don't know it, it's findhelp.org. So findhelp.org used to be Aunt Bertha. It's, again, connecting you with resources. But Humana has their own as well, zoomin.humana.com. Let's say you have a member who says they're food insecure or they need help, they need an attorney for whatever reason, they need something. And I'll just plug in an address. Let's see here.
Yeah, this reminds me a little bit of Benefit Checkup. Pretty similar.
What again?
It reminds me of benefitcheckup.org. Are you familiar with that one?
No. Are you speaking of like Zoom In?
Yeah, it reminds me of that. And Benefits Checkup is benefitscheckup.org. Just thought I'd share that one with you too. Yeah, Find Help. Thanks for sharing that because I haven't seen that one before. So that's awesome, guys. I mean, I know you guys are getting out of the box questions from your members, and so here's 2 other resources that Rafelis have shared with us today. Thank you.
And I'll write that one down, Benefit Checkup. And I know there's also an app that you can, is it covered? Is a Medicare app that you can download if something is covered or not. But some of these get a little bit more specific. I'm trying to enter an address here. Let's see if I can put the Humana address, East Altamont. I didn't know it by heart, so pull that up. So once you put in the member's address and they're asking you questions about food and they need food nutrition or whatever it is, it'll populate around their areas and what all is available and what they offer. So this church offers this service for that person in their address. Because what makes us better agents is that we can become a resource to them no matter what the question is.
Amen.
So that gives you a bit more help there. No questions. I'll move right along. But that was zoomin.humana.com or findhelp.org. Those are 2 great resources. Now, I want to go back and ask you all some questions. and maybe someone puts it in the chat or comes off mute, but if not, no big deal. But what is the VBID Part D reduction benefit on the D-SNP plan? VBID Part D reduction. I'll tell you what that is. If you have LIS and you're on a D-SNP, your copays are zero for your prescriptions. So that is important to know. Now the next one says, why does the D-SNP have a premium? And what is it tied to? So the premium is tied to the prescription drug side. And if they have LIS, levels 1, 2, or 3, where it's 100%, that premium is a moot point. But we all know we encounter folks that have LIS maybe level 4, and you're saying, well, how can someone at LIS level 4 qualify for a D-SNP? Well, if their share of cost, and then for that month, they've hit their metric, and now they have the adequate code to get into the D-SNP plan. So they can reap all the benefits of the D-SNP plan, but keep in mind, if they're LIS level 4 and it says 15%, they'll be subject to that percentage of the premium as well. So pretty important to know. Another question when I was doing this training that I got was, if someone loses Medicaid, when do they get kicked out of the plan? So they have a 6-month grace period in order for them to go back on the plan or to stay on the plan to get that Medicaid back. But one of the things, the plan is so rich that you may want to keep them there. However, if they lost their Medicaid and along that their Medicare and Savings Program paying for their 170, maybe a better suited plan in the interim may be that give back. So you want to have that conversation with them just to be certain. Now, what is the SSBCI benefit and what does it stand for? Special Supplemental Benefit for the Chronically Ill. And this is essentially a benefit that allows doctors, case managers to use funds to get folks what they need. So we had a situation, someone was living in a trailer in the midst of summer in Florida. They were getting a lot of these heat rashes and had certain conditions that it was not helpful for them. And they had this benefit. The agent notified us and said, is there anything we can do? We did a referral to case management, and within 9 days, that person had an installed AC unit in their trailer to ensure that this doesn't continue to happen. Wow. We have things like pest control. We have, let's just say you have a diabetic that lost their teeth, or you just have a situation where someone can't afford all the dentures, but they're needing it for their health and they have this benefit. This can pay for that. This can pay for a blender. They can't chew or they need to blend all their food. So it's a quite unique benefit. And I don't want us to be the determining factor of do they qualify for it or not. You identify a need, send me an email. I refer that to case management. Let them do the work they need to do. Because if for some reason they can't activate this benefit, but they have a grant that they can use to help that member out, at the end of the day, we want to make sure we connect the folks with the resources they need.
Rafelis, this is outstanding information, and I've even learned a couple things here. And we have one question from Will, and I know we're at the top of the hour, guys. But I'm gonna ask Rafelis to come back and do this training in full because this is outstanding, buddy. I really appreciate this. And I know Tom is going to set up a call to do maybe a pre-recorded session, but we'd love to have you back to talk more. But I do have Will. He says, what happens with income level requirements if the plan D-SNP client exceeds their income level? And I'm assuming that's what he was asking about just there a moment ago.
Yeah, so the D-SNP is going to be specific to the Medicaid. And we know there's all these Medicaid codes, NS, MS. They could be full Medicaid, SDB, I forget the acronym, QI1. There's so many different acronyms. They all qualify for it, but specific to the premium, it's going to be tied to the LIS level. There's some folks that make. And I'll be brief. I had a situation where the lady had MS making over 100K, but she qualified for Medicaid, not the financial aspect of it, but because she had a medical condition. She still qualified for the DSNP, but she did not have maybe that LIS qualification and would still be subject to that premium, but can still reap all the benefits of the DSNP plan itself.
Got it. So kind of out of the box question here. And again, we want to have you back for this training because I've learned a lot just from your slide deck, and I saw that you didn't even get through half of it. So we'll definitely have you back for a full training on that because I think that's outstanding. I want to ask you a question because you've been in the field for a while. You've been at Humana for a while. You're familiar with Central Florida and other parts of the country as far as marketing is concerned. If you were to go back to being an independent agent, Rafelis, what would you do? What would you be doing right now? It's February 14th, Valentine's Day. What would you be doing for marketing right now?
Yeah, so one of the things I always like to say, you're an insurance agent. You're not just a Medicare representative. And a lot of folks we think that Medicare is the biggest opportunity, but we have to understand that the Medicare recipients, they're not always the ones making the decision. Sometimes their kids or someone else. Mm-hmm. And if you're omitting that sector, whether you're selling them a dental or vision or life insurance, just connecting with that population, you tend to miss out on the actual 65 and over. When I first came into Humana, the Affordable Care Act was going to launch, and I went to a barber shop, and Friday and Saturday, I gave everybody a quote and bought them pizza. And that's awesome. All she wrote. That was the end of all the marketing I had to do. I wrote 1,200 Affordable Care Act that year, 350 the Medicare, that annual enrollment, and every year was like that because I knew my target audience was everybody that was walking that I can help.
Unreal.
So that's one of the things I did.
That is unreal. So guys, there it is. This is a pro talking, a legend walking, right? So Rafelis, I can't thank you enough for taking time this morning to introduce yourself, but obviously showcase the amount of knowledge you have that can help our team and the resources that Humana has to really help us grow our business because, that is exactly how I've built my business, is becoming a resource in the community. And I focused on DSNPs for those that needed the help the most. And I can see that Humana has the same value prop to the community because these are people that are really in there and really need it. So again, Rafelis, thank you so much for your time this morning, and we definitely will have you back in your own showcase, prime time. We're going to get you a nice webinar, and we'll go through the whole presentation because I feel shortchanged, and I know I'm already seeing people that are asking. Elise is asking for a deep dive with you already. So absolutely, I really appreciate your time and attention this morning.
Thank you, Justin. Thank you, everybody. You all have my phone. If you want to connect individually, feel free to shoot me a call, text message. I'd love to connect with you all.
Fantastic. And guys, we will be setting up additional trainings with Humana and Rafelis. He didn't even get to mention CarePlus, and there's a whole other side to that as well. So we're definitely gonna have a lot more a FaceTime with Rafelis and his team. But as always, this is the end of our Monday morning conference call. I do appreciate everyone taking the time to jump in. This call is being recorded. It's on YouTube. We're going to post that later this week, and then we'll let you know when Rafelis is back around, and we'll get him in front of you guys to share the good news. So thank you guys. Have a fantastic week, and please let us know if there's anything we can do to help at HPM 844-696-3975. Have a wonderful Valentine's Day week. Take care, guys.